Hey everyone, I have a extra special guest for you. If you've been watching this channel for any length of time, you know I have a special place in my heart for teenagers looking to do financial independence. So much so I gave away $1,000 here over the summer for book reports. And out of that, I have had a high school teacher reach out to me about financial literacy, talking about what we could do. Could I be a guest speaker? And I'm like, dude, let's get you on the Zoom. Let's talk. Let's inspire other teachers to think about financial literacy. So let's welcome Nate to the show. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing very well. First and foremost, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a loyal subscriber. But really, thank you for reaching out. As you know, financial literacy is not a common thought in high school, let alone by teachers or by students. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Of course, I will be a guest speaker, or however we're going to do that, in person or over Zoom.
Sure.
So take that off the table. But what are we thinking for a syllabus or an outline, or where do you want to go?
Sure. So I was actually working on it today. Tomorrow morning is my first class meeting. I've got the syllabus kind of put together. And what I wanted to do was just find out from you, what would you include in a financial literacy course? Keeping in mind that the students that I teach are typically from economically disadvantaged households.
Okay.
So they don't have a lot of background in money.
Okay.
They don't know much about it.
All right.
So what do you think you'd include?
Well, first off, real quick, next question I had from your message. You said a small school. How many students do you think you'll have in this class?
So, oh goodness, probably like 10.
Well, you know what we'll do is you get me a number and I will autograph books and send them to you for free.
Oh, how cool, man. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that way they can at least have it. Maybe it'll become their book report or something. But give me a number. I have at least, I think I have 15 or 20 author copies left. I'll sign and send them to you for the students. Cool. So that's cool. But now to your question. When I think about that, and this is a full semester, right? So we're talking 3-4 months?
Till December.
Yeah. And are we talking 5 days a week, 4 days a week, 3?
No, with the modified schedule that we've got with the pandemic, I have these students 2 times a week for 45 minutes each. So I get them for 90 minutes. Okay. And I'll have the same amount of, homework time for them about each week.
Yeah. So I think the things that would be important, again, just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
First is the importance of living below your means. Not, especially if you come from, again, I was these students in high school, right? I had nothing, right? We were barely above the, welfare line sometimes. Maybe not in high school. High school was better. Grade school was rough. High school, we were semi-okay. But living below your means is important, but really defining what that means. Those are lots of sexy words, but what does it mean? Right?
Yeah.
I think giving some examples of that. Millionaire Next Door is the best book I've seen for that. Actually, I interviewed the guy here in the last couple of weeks that wrote it. That was cool. Another one is the importance of automating savings, right?
Got it.
Because when we were growing up, people said it, but I didn't get it. But now with these apps and all these other things that people have, it's a lot easier. Just take $20 and throw it somewhere in some other account you never look at.
Yeah.
And really what you're going to try to go through there is you can live on less, right? By taking $20 or whatever, you can get comfortable, because hopefully they see that in the book is, hey, this guy, got somewhere special, but it starts with he was fucking spending every penny he had, and then he didn't, and things got better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's important. Good versus bad debt. In the simplest way is a real estate deal versus a credit card.
Understood.
Do you really want to go buy that? I don't know what kids buy these days, that phone or rims or purses or whatever they are.
Hot Cheetos and Coca-Cola, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know what? You could probably do a session on that, right? Hot Cheetos and Coca-Cola probably cost you $4 a day. I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's stuff there. And then the biggest one for me is, and this would be kind of probably later in the course, is make sure they are comfortable with the math to calculate cash on cash return. Right. And I break it down really simple. It's what money do you have to put into an investment? Now in real estate, that's closing costs, down payment, make ready. We can make that whatever you want, right? How much money comes out of my bank account? And then how much money comes back in every month or week or 6 months or however your duration. And that's your return, right? And then, oh, by the way, the bigger the number, the better the deal, right?
Amen.
Simply speaking. So
Amen.
those are some things that I came up with just real quick. I'm sure there's some others.
No, that's great. And that's one of the things that I was thinking of working with my students on is the basic math. Because, when it comes to managing your finances, you got to be able to add, subtract, multiply, divide, do ratios, percentages, fractions. And those aren't that's not algebra. That's basic computational skills. And if you want to be, let's say, a successful real estate investor, or really successful with money, you don't need a whole lot more than that from a math perspective.
No, it's just understanding the basic framework, because you could do the math on your phone, God damn it.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. They're not going to actually do the division. They're not going to break it out and do long distance or whatever that was called when we did that. That's not happening. The other thing that I just thought of, and I think I may have lost it. Let me think. Kids, bad debt, math. Oh, I lost it. I'll come back to it.
No worries, man. That happens.
It'll spring up. So what are some things that you put on your syllabus that maybe it'll spark some things?
So I broke it down into 5 or 6 different questions.
Okay.
And let me bring up what those questions are going to be. They're very basic questions. The answers to the questions are going to be what we study, what we look for. And I think the first unit is, what is money for?
Okay.
And how do I make it? And so I kind of thought about going over, what are the different uses of money? Because the only use of money they know 9 times out of 10, probably 99 times out of 100, is how to spend it.
Yeah.
And they don't know that there's so much more to money than just how to spend money.
Yeah, I think that's a great one. And I just came back to me what I was thinking about. Again, thinking about when I was in high school, all I knew was how to sell hours. I could take 2 to 3 hours of my time and I could go exchange them for $5 an hour. That's all I knew, right? Then I learned, oh, by the way, I could be an entrepreneur and I could go out and go door to door and sell painting fences or mowing lawns, right? Now it's service-based, right? I don't know how long it's going to take me to mow this, but it's $20. It's $20 if it takes me 10 minutes. It's $20 if it takes me 2 hours, right? But then you could talk about other examples. You could ask them to think of people. Maybe they think of Elon Musk, or maybe they think of Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg or whoever they're going to think of. I don't know who. Maybe they think of an actor. But again, even if they think of an actor, you can talk about different ways they're paid, right? Some of them get paid by movie. Some of them say, okay, give me a stipend for the movie, but I want the back end, right?
Yeah.
There's lots of ways you can slice earning money, right? Than just selling hours.
It totally reminds me of Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrants.
Yep.
Are you going to be an employee? Are you going to be a sole proprietor? Are you going to own a business? Are you going to be an investor?
Exactly. I think that's right. Yeah.
And
I think you break it down for the kids, right? I think an employee sells hours, generally speaking.
Right.
Proprietor, okay, you got a small business. Maybe you're hustling and, mowing lawns or washing cars or babysitting, right? Trying not to be sexist, but whatever.
Yeah.
And there's, the bigger company. Okay, maybe you are the main babysitter and you farm out to your kids or other friends. I don't know. And then there's, investors, right? People like Buffett and Musk and things of that nature. So I think that's a cool one. Yeah. All right. So that's one.
That's a great idea. I would not have thought of that if we were not having this conversation, but the cash flow quadrant is definitely something we can include. And I think the kids would get a lot out of that.
Cool. All right. So that's one question.
So what's money for and how do I make it?
Yep.
The how do I make it part, I really just want to talk about the value of experience and education in making money. And because a lot of these students don't have an aim. They don't know what they're going to do, and they don't understand that what they do has a whole lot to do with their quality of life based on how much money they're going to make.
Yeah, you know, another thing you might want to work in there, and you sort of hit this after you ask them that question, is you could probably get the statistics between what's the average income of a high school dropout, college graduate, you know, and more, and just try to make that connection. Not that college is the answer for everyone, but it's a pretty darn good answer for most people.
Yeah, it is. And I'm just picturing the graph of, you know, those who have a college degree and their income up here, and those who have a college or don't and their income down here.
Yeah, and then you could even go one step further, and you could talk about them after 40 years.
Lifetime earnings.
Lifetime earnings or net worth.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Okay. All right.
So that's going to be the first unit, is what's money for and how do I make it?
I like that.
And then what do I do with it once I have it? And this kind of gets to your point that you talked about earlier about living below your means. What do you do with your money once you have it?
I spend it as fast as possible. What are you talking about?
Yeah, they spend it before they get it, right?
Yes. Yes.
And that's what most people do. They spend their money before they even have it. So I want to talk about budgeting, like you said, automatic.
Yeah.
Automatize everything, not just savings. I mean, you can automatize so much.
Yeah, and then what I would talk about is, okay, pick an artificial number. It's $1,000 a month, $1,000 a week, whatever it is. The biggest thing I wish I would have done earlier is I wish I would have set my life up at some number, because then as I got raises, right, if I made more, I could have socked all of that, or probably would have given myself a little bit more, but socked most of that away, right? Most people raise their expenses to match their income.
Right.
And then it doesn't matter, right? You can make $1 million a year, but if you spend 1.1, you're miserable, right? It's
right. Yeah, you can make it. This is the difference between rich and wealthy, right? You can make a ton of money at your W-2, and then you spend it all. You're not wealthy. You don't have something to lean back on, because as soon as you're done working, you don't have those riches.
Yeah, I have personally known people that made 7 figures a year that were bankrupt in 2 years, right? It's if you want to spend it, it'll go.
Right. Yes, it does tend to go fast. Okay, so in that unit, I want to talk about budgeting too.
Yeah. Do you think kids get budgeting? I think we need a new word. I think budgeting's an old farty word for you and I and our parents. They don't think budgeting.
So
we'd have to look up the Urban Dictionary. There's got to be I would use a different word. They're going to tune it out.
Urban Dictionary for the word budget?
Yeah, I would. I don't know. Something's got to be.
You're living on the edge, man. You got to remember, I still have to be appropriate in the classroom.
I don't know what kids call it today, but I'm sure it's not budgeting.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Budgeting is not a lit word.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'll have to look that up later.
Somebody will leave it in the comments. Check back in 24 hours. Somebody will leave it in the comments. Folks, tell us another word for budgeting, because I'm guessing that kids are going to see that word and roll their eyes.
That's a great idea. Ask. We can find out from others.
Yeah, we'll see what it says, because this will be loaded in like 60 minutes.
Sweet. Yeah. Very cool.
All right. So that's that one. All right. That's 2 units.
2 units down. What do I do with it once I have it? Budgeting. Okay. Now here's where we get to what I'm most excited about and will probably spend the most time on. Well, I think I will, but I don't know if that's wise. So you tell me. I'm asking the question, how do I make my money make more money? And that's where I want to talk about different investments.
Yeah, I think the greatest question everyone of all ages need to ask themselves is, how hard is my money working? Right? I think that's the better question.
Yeah.
Right? How hard is my or your money working?
Yeah.
Because if you think that way, then all the other stuff I talked about in my run through is important, because yield is the variable that drives how hard your money's working. Cash on cash. So I like that.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just brainstorming, right? This is all real time, folks. We didn't plan this call.
Right.
I like it.
So when I think about that phraseology, how hard is my money working? Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking that most of the students I have, if I ask them that question today, they look at me and they'd say, Shankles, my money doesn't work like people work.
Well, yeah, my guess, and again, I don't know your students, my guess is they would come back with, well, my mom and dad work 80 hours a week or blah, 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 right? Because
Yeah.
it's the hours exchanged for dollars. That's what they think money is working. And I think we need to reverse, or we need to introduce just a new concept is, oh, by the way, your money can work, right? That was the big Robert Kiyosaki thing is if your money is not working while you're asleep, you're not rich, right? That's what the rich do.
Amen. Yeah. Eventually you want to replace yourself with your money so that you don't have to work and your money does it for you. That's kind of the goal where we want
And that's where I got to is right. You have to set a minimum. That's why I talked earlier about living on less. I mean, kids today, seriously, if they live in Fresno and they can live on $2,000 a month, they could be financially free by the time they're 25, right? Maybe 30.
Yes. The trick is getting them to think that big because they just, I mean, they think of $1,000 and they go, oh my goodness, that's so much money. And I get it. Most high school kids are going to think that way.
Yeah.
But you and I know that $1,000 is great. We both like to have it.
Yeah.
But it goes, how far does it go? Not far at all.
Yeah.
And so getting them to think like, hey, look, you can buy a house when you're 18. You don't even necessarily have to be 18. Yeah. And you can do it. Save up all your money for a summer, living with your parents at home, and then go, get an FHA or whatever.
Yeah. And
do it.
Absolutely.
It can be done. And so just getting them to think like that, I think is as or more important than the actual financial concepts or skills that we're teaching.
Then let's play with this a little bit. I like where we're going. So I would love each kid to create I don't know if a spending budget or spending limit, because I don't like budgeting. Budgeting, I think, is a new word. But like, how much could you live on?
Yeah.
Right? Think about your phone, think about your meals, think about your entertainment, blah, 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 blah. And these kids, it's probably 400 to 1,500 bucks. It's not much, right?
Yeah.
But then, right, that's kind of like day one of phase 3. And then by whatever, however the syllabus breaks down, then we start asking ourselves is, how do we make that? How do you make 800 bucks a month? There are lots of ways you can do that. You could sell your hours. You could do this. You could do that.
And so you come up with creative solutions as opposed to just saying, well, if you go to work and you make 800 bucks a month, what are you going to do with it? You're coming at it from the other side.
Exactly. Right. Because, oh, by the way, some of them may say an app. Great. Well, let's talk about it. Let's create an app, or let's do this, or let's do that. I don't know. Let's see let's at least challenge them, and hopefully one or two of them surprise us.
Well, and you're tapping into their creativity then, and that just totally sucks them in and gets them engaged, as opposed to here's the
teacher said.
Right. Instead of the teacher said, it's the teacher asked me a question. Now I can't get it out of my head.
Yeah. And then that's what I would do, right? Let's just imagine 12 students there. Everyone will tell you a number on day 19, right? They thought about it. They talked to their kids. They broke it down, right? Have them answer everybody answers the same 8 questions: food, entertainment, clothing, gas, phone, whatever.
Yeah.
Have them add it all up. And okay, guys, that's your magic number. And if some kid's 600, another kid's 1,200, who cares?
Yeah.
It's the right answer for them.
Everybody
spend the next 2 weeks answering, how do we do that?
Amen. I love that. Michael, I think you missed your calling, man. An economics teacher.
I have an economics degree. I do.
Oh, hey, me too.
Yeah, Santa Clara University.
Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
All right, so that's your third unit.
All right, that's our third unit. Okay. And I plan on spending quite a bit of time on that one. Fourth unit is who is Uncle Sam and why does he want my money?
Yeah. The greatest example of that is and this is so funny. I would probably do this if it was me. So there's a story about it was a 5-year-old. So these kids are a little bit older, but I think the story plays. You give them an ice cream cone and you put on 2 or 3 scoops. Then right before they lick it, you take off the top 2. That's Uncle Sam.
That's fantastic.
So give them an ice cream sandwich or give them candy or whatever's appropriate. Talk about it, then come by and whack. I mean, literally like whack off 30 or 40% and say, Uncle Sam, baby.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So something like that. Make it meaningful. It's gotta be memorable, right? Somebody gave me an ice cream cone and then came back 2 minutes later and took half of it. I'd remember that forever.
Amen. Yeah, that's a great idea. I could do that kind of as a Zoom demonstration, or have them do it. Say, hey, go get, whatever it is and
Yeah,
cut
I
it in
mean,
half.
are they going to be? Is this going to be Zoom based?
Yeah, we're all
Yeah,
digital.
yeah. So if I were going to do it Zoom based, I would do a Kit Kat bar, right? Because
Okay.
it's easy to break. There's 4 pieces.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic idea.
All right, everybody get a Kit Kat bar now. Take one off and give it to your cousin, or you throw it away, or whatever.
Yep.
And now you get 3 pieces.
And those visual representations, I mean, they're honestly, they're better for me. I get them better, and the kids will definitely remember that. I like that.
There you go. That's what I would do for taxes.
Okay, so that's my plan for taxes, and then the last one is going to be, how do I protect my money?
There you go.
And so
define protect for a high school student.
Oh goodness.
Because you and I know what that means to us, but what does it really mean to a?
Well, I guess, yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for asking. To a high school student, that probably means, put it in a shoebox in my drawer, especially for the students that I'm working with. That's probably what that means. For some of them,
Yeah.
maybe for the other half, it means a bank account.
Yeah. So I think what we need to make that is, the problem with saving and being that person who lives conservatively is people come and try to take your money. I mean, maybe physically, but that's not what I was referring to. I'm sure it happens.
Yeah.
But you become a target for shysters and people with bad intentions.
Right.
Right. That's what I would talk about is, oh, by the way, if you're going to be the successful human being with money that I plan you to be, you're going to have more money than all of your friends. And if you're not careful, they're going to bring you every Tom, Dick, and Harry story trying to get you to invest in them.
Right.
How do you protect yourself from bad investments? How do you know who's legit? How do you know this? How do you know that?
Right.
That's where I would go.
So I was also thinking about using that as an opportunity to talk about insurance.
Okay.
And not because I'm an expert in insurance or anything like that, but just because I remember leaving high school and thinking, I don't know anything about a credit card. And this is basic.
Yeah.
And then insurance comes along. And it's like, there's no handbook. Actually, there is a handbook, and it's in size 8 font, and it's 36 pages long. And they hand it to you when you're about to sign on the dotted line.
Yeah, it's like, I don't read that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, nobody reads that stuff.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about insurance so that my students are aware. Here's a financial product you have to have, you will need, and it will protect you. So that was one idea I had for that.
Insurance makes sense, right? For cars, for houses. Again, we'll probably try to keep it simple. And again, I think the greatest example is real life. Okay, you own a car. Somebody comes by and smashes it up when you're sleeping, right? Protecting. What do you do?
Yes.
Well, if you have insurance, you call it up, you pay a deductible, it gets fixed. You don't have insurance, you get some cardboard and some duct tape and put it on the window.
That's right. That's right. A funny story. My wife and I were sitting at a stoplight here in Fresno. This was probably 3 years ago. And all of a sudden we heard this boom. And it was the car right next to us. He had been rear-ended by someone who they hadn't even tried to stop.
Oh, no.
Well, so we look out the window. About 10 seconds later, we see the car that hit them start back up. They threw it in reverse, flipped a U-turn, and went completely the other direction.
Oh.
And I only had 2 guesses. Either they didn't have insurance or
guaranteed.
They had some problem with the law, or maybe both.
Probably both.
Yeah. So, have insurance.
Oh, have insurance. Yeah. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah. And again, I think we got to, I think introducing the concept of some bad actors, because that's one thing that I learned with my MBA is they're bad actors. I mean, the Ponzi scheme is the easiest one to talk about. I would probably do half an hour on Bernie Madoff, right? The largest Ponzi scheme ever. Again, these are things you have to realize are out there. There are people out there that are sweet talking, wear all the right suits, say all the right things that are just bad.
Yes, they'll lead you the wrong way. And honestly, those were the 6 questions that I wanted to ask this semester and go through with the students. What am I missing?
Well, we didn't talk about a checkbook. That is so obvious. I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the ability to know how to balance a checkbook is.
Yes. So my plan was when we talk about budgeting, the word I don't like, was to talk about budgeting, banking, throw in there debit cards, just real essential, like, hey, this is, this is practical everyday
Yep,
stuff.
I agree. Yep, I like that.
So good. Thank you for bringing that up.
The another one is inflation.
Oh, yeah.
Inflation is a concept I wish I would have known about earlier.
Amen.
You could talk about rent inflation, which might hit home, like their parents might have talked about it. You can talk about cars. And then you can also talk about deflation, right? Computers are cheaper now than they were in the past, right? They're competing forces.
Right.
What else?
I was also thinking about the lesson of compound interest.
Yeah.
Read an article the other day about Warren Buffett and how he learned about compound interest at the age of 10, and how most of his wealth he's amassed after the age of 65 because
it's just time.
Compounding. So that was a lesson that probably when we get to talking about saving and then investing, somewhere in there, compounding.
Yeah, the other one is this might be too much of a high school, but what are the three, or maybe for high school it's two financial statements, right? There's a balance sheet, an income statement. There's a third, cash flow. That's probably too nuanced for high school students. But a balance sheet is your net worth, right? Right, your assets over liabilities, and then your income statement is, okay, how many ways are you making income and what are you spending?
Right.
If any of those numbers are negative,
no bueno.
No bueno. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a good point. And for students with their budget, they can kind of they can relate that directly to.
Absolutely. Because once you have your budget, right? My number is 600. Well, great. Let's build an income statement of 600.
Yeah.
Right. So that means you have, as long as your income is 601, you're good. If your income is 599, not so good.
Yeah. No bueno.
No bueno.
Exactly. Well, at some point, maybe we'll do this later. We'll just have to talk about the what dates you're available to.
I could make myself available anytime. I do nothing. I'm very flexible.
Okay.
I'm trying to help kids. Trying to help the next me start 10 years earlier.
Amen. Very cool, man. Well, I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So let me know how many students show up. It'll probably take me a week or so to get you the books. So,
okay.
But if you want to give me their first name, I'll actually autograph each book. And if you don't have the name, then I won't put a name there.
Oh, how cool, man. They will love that. A quick story. I read the book Drive by Daniel Pink.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have. Yeah.
So I do this thing where I send authors emails. Every book I read, I just send them an email. And what I found is that more than half of them respond. And Daniel Pink stands out because he sent me an autographed copy.
That's awesome.
Like, here I am, just this little teacher from Fresno, sent him a 2-line email, said, great book. And he goes, hey, what's your address? I'll mail you an autographed copy. It was the coolest thing. So
that is awesome.
For you to be willing to do that for our kids, they would love that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for reaching out. No other high school student has, or teacher has. Hopefully more do now. Financial literacy is important. Financial education is important. Let's help that next generation. I appreciate everything you do, Nate.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it, man.
You got it.